Boy, do I have an insane video for you guys today. Coming up with this video idea was actually kind of insane. Like, while I was coming up with these ideas and while I was finding out different things from these sources and my mind was being blown while I was making this video and while I was making this script. And I am so excited to be making this video because I honestly think that I have just uncovered like the deepest secret in Attack on Titan that has ever been. Like, this is even deeper than the freaking Eren manipulating his father and Ymir backstory and all that stuff. This theory is absolutely ridiculous, and the theory is that the anime ending is going to be different from the manga ending. This is something that a lot of people have been wishing for because a lot of people do not like the manga ending. I'm not going to get into that today, and that is not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is simply to point out these very subtle hints that Isayama left in the manga that sort of point towards the anime potentially having a different ending from the manga. And I'm talking a completely different ending, which is what I'm going to be talking about today in this video. Now, it would be cool if I was really this 200 IQ big brain guy who researched for hours on end and came up with all of this stuff, but to be honest, I did not come up with all of these different ideas. In fact, a lot of these ideas came from another YouTuber who does Attack on Titan content, Always Tryhard. So I got a lot of the ideas from him. Make sure you check out his channel if you want the original video on this same topic. But today, I'm here to convince you why the Attack on Titan anime is going to have a completely different ending from the manga. And believe me when I say this, this theory is one of the greatest theories I have ever seen for a fictional series. That is not an exaggeration. That's just facts. Like, this is crazy. Now, it did take kind of a long time to plan this video, so I would appreciate if you did drop a like on the video and if you did subscribe to the channel. If you are new, it does help me out a lot, and I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, so help your boy out and drop a subscription. I also want to point out that this is something that, while I do kind of believe that this is going to happen, at the same time I do have a feeling that Isayama isn't going to do this, especially with how the ending really let us down in a way and how the ending was completely different to what we thought it was going to be. But nevertheless, I'm going to point out these things and prove the point that Isayama, at least at one point in creating Attack on Titan, had something like this in mind. And maybe he's going to scrap his idea when the anime actually ends, but at one point he did have this in mind, because with all of these different points, it just doesn't make sense if he didn't have it in mind at one point. That's enough talking though. It's time for me to blow your mind. So the main idea of this theory is that the anime and the manga of Attack on Titan are both in different timelines. So I know it sounds a bit ridiculous, but by the end of this video, I can almost guarantee that you're going to agree with me, or at least have your mind blown. So we've established the fact that the anime and manga are in different timelines, but I do have to explain how this really works, because believe me, it is a very, very confusing topic. So let's start off with the original ending of Attack on Titan. At the end of AOT, it seems like Eren is dead, but that just may not be the case entirely. Isayama left some slight teasers that hints to Eren potentially being alive. Yes, you heard that correctly. Eren potentially still being alive after having his head cut off twice. When his head gets cut off in the final chapter, you can see the Titan marks still on his face. Now, if you didn't know, these Titan marks show that you have just come out of your Titan form. We see it many times in Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, even Season 4. This is something that's been well established, and we all know the Titan marks on the skin from showing that a Titan shifter has just come out of his Titan form. Now, in the final chapter, we also see that the power of the Titans has been removed from the world by Eren himself. In doing what he did, he removed the power of the Titans. And if you look at all the other Titan shifters' faces, like Reiner, Armin, Falco, Annie, if you look at their faces, you don't see the Titan scars on their faces. If you look at Eren freaking Jaeger, he has the Titan marks on his face. How could Isayama possibly miss something like this? How could he leave something like this in the final chapter by accident? How could only Eren, the founding Titan, the attack Titan, the Warhammer Titan, and the Titan that has the power to do anything he wants, how come he is the only one with the scars on his face? You might be thinking this is something small that Isayama forgot to take out of Attack on Titan in the final chapter, but when you actually think about what the process of creating a manga chapter is, they go through many different layers of editing, post-production, pre-production, all that kind of stuff. There is no way you're going to miss something as important as this through all those different layers of producing that final chapter, especially considering the fact that it's the final chapter in the series. They're going to have to make it as perfect as they can, and the fact that they forgot something like this just doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. It seems like Isayama actually put this in for a reason. Now here's what would make sense. The reason that only Eren has the scars on his face is because he still has the power of the Titans. He did remove the power of the Titans from the world, but what he probably did end up doing is remove all the power of the Titans from the Titan shifters that were there at the time, but he still kept the power of the Titans for himself. I'll get back to this point later because it all does make sense. At the end of all this, we know that Eren gets buried under the tree that he grew up near, and that tree that we all know, the famous tree that he woke up from in the first chapter. He gets buried under that tree. Now the interesting thing is that in the final chapter, you look at the tree and it looks like the normal tree, like a regular ass tree. In the additional pages, which would seem to be 100 to 200 years later from where Attack on Titan is in the final chapter, you can see that the tree has transformed a lot. The tree has gone from being a regular tree to being the same one that Ymir fell down 2,000 years ago. I'm sorry, trees just don't grow like that. So what could have happened is that Eren, being buried under the tree, his power of the Titans was absorbed by that tree, and now when the kid falls in, the kid receives the power of the founding Titan. And just like history mentioned before, how the devil of all earth gives the power to Ymir, the devil of all earth could be Eren giving the power to this child. In other words, all of that history that Isayama proved wrong in the final season of Attack on Titan with the whole Ymir backstory, all of that could have been a foreshadowing to this. It does seem like a bit of a stretch, but if you really think about it, it's kinda insane. But why would Eren do this? Why would he hold on to his Titan powers and not get rid of them and allow his friends to live peacefully? Here's the thing. Armin somehow persuaded Eren that he was going to create a world of peace without the use of violence. He was going to create a world of peace. And now that the one thing that all the people of Marley and the other nations feared Eldia for, the power of the Titans, was removed from the world, it seemed like Armin would be set to create this peaceful world he set out to create. So Eren entrusts this task to Armin in the final chapter. He keeps the power of the Titans for himself in case Armin is unable to complete this task, and which he was unable to complete this task. He was unable to create a peaceful world because at the end of the day, as we know from the famous quote by Einstein, so long as there is man, there is war. This causes Eren Yeager to use his Attack Titan powers, the power to transcend time, to change the entire story once again. He transcends time once more and sends memories to his past self in order to change the outcome of the ending. This is the next ending to Attack on Titan. In other words, the ending to the anime. This is just the beginning of this ridiculous theory. In chapter 1, you can see that Eren wakes up from a dream and crying. Now keep in mind, this is chapter 1 of the manga and not the anime, because yes, they are quite different, as I'm going to get into later. Now the reason he was probably crying in the manga was because he just saw his own death. You can see a tear coming down his eyes in the first chapter, and Mikasa even asks him, "Why are you crying?" He then goes on to ask Mikasa why her hair is so long, which would relate to how her hair is short at the end of the story. Another thing that I just picked up on while editing this video about these two dreams in the manga and in the anime respectively, I realized that in the manga, Eren wakes up peacefully, as if he just had a good dream. Even though he is crying afterwards, the way he wakes up in a comfortable way. Whereas in the anime, he wakes up looking shocked. The look on his face just shows that he's woken up from a nightmare, whereas again in the manga he looks way more peaceful than he does in the anime. Now we all know that the first chapter of Attack on Titan, the dream that Eren had, relates to chapter 138 where Mikasa had that weird memory thing, right? They both connect. In the anime he wakes up and we see a part of his dream. In the manga there's no flashback to any of his dream, but in the anime there is a slight 5-second flashback of his dream. In this very bloody dream, with what seems to be the scene where his mother gets eaten, are the memories of the past life that Eren just lived. There are the memories that Eren has seen of Paradise Island getting destroyed, and in waking up from this dream, he will change the course of the anime story. Now you can cut things out of the anime, in fact they have done that very many times, but you cannot cut out something that foreshadows the ending completely. I mean, without this scene, the ending is so much less meaningful. If the anime ends up having this same ending, the same see you later scene in the final episode, it won't be nearly as meaningful as it was in the manga, since they didn't foreshadow it in episode 1 like they did in chapter 1 of the manga. Now another subtle thing that I can't help but point out is the way Eren is sitting. It sounds very stupid, but if you look at the manga, it looks like he's sitting upright, like a normal person sitting on a chair. He's sitting upright. As we know, in the end of the manga, Eren gets buried by Mikasa, and the crazy thing that I didn't notice is that in the anime, he's actually laying down in a very similar way to how Mikasa would have buried him in the manga. He's laying down as if he's been buried under the tree. Now, what's even crazier is that in the manga, Eren asks Mikasa why her hair is so long. And this is because at the end of the manga, the last thing that Eren sees before he wakes up from the dream again, or I guess you could say the last thing that he sees in that dream, is Mikasa with short hair saying, "See you later, Eren." So it would make sense that him waking up and seeing Mikasa now with long hair back in the present time, that he's like,
"Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right."
But in the anime, he does not ask Mikasa why her hair is so long. Instead, he asks her, "Why are you here?" Now, in case you haven't put the pieces together yet, we are assuming that in this anime original ending, Eren does complete the rumbling. This is because if he sees the outcome of him not completing the rumbling, his next approach would be to actually complete the rumbling, because that's literally the only choice he has at this point. So, assuming that in the anime original ending, or in this second life that Eren lives, he completes the rumbling, this would most likely mean that Mikasa and Armin are both going to die. Specifically Mikasa, and this has been foreshadowed in Mikasa's OVA. I'll put this panel right in front of the screen right now. This panel foreshadows Mikasa's death completely. It's literally right there. I don't know how nobody has noticed this. It's literally right there. And I don't know why Isayama would put this if he wasn't going to kill Mikasa at some point in the story. So that would make sense that she does die in the anime original ending. Now, assuming she does die in the anime original ending, what this means is that Eren asking Mikasa why she's here right now is because the last time he saw her was her dying. So he now assumes, waking up from the dream, that Mikasa is dead because that's what he saw from the dream. And again, that's probably why he wakes up as though he wakes up from a nightmare. Bro, this is actually insane. Eren versus the female Titan. If you look at Eren versus the female Titan in the anime compared to the manga, there are a few subtle differences, but big subtle differences, if you know what I mean. Basically, in the manga, Annie is finished off by the members of the Survey Corps, and she gets taken in by them as the Crystal. Her fight against Eren seems like a pretty normal fight, and while Eren does rage quite a bit against her, the ending of the fight is nothing like it was in the anime, because in the anime, things get kind of wild. In the anime, Eren is running absolutely rampant. She's going crazy, and you can see by his face, by his body, his Titan shifter form, you can see that he is going absolutely nuts. In the manga, he doesn't seem to act the same way as he does in the anime. Now maybe that's just some production differences with the animation style or whatever. In the anime, Eren almost eats Annie. He goes so crazy that he almost eats Annie and gains the power of the female titan. But he's stopped by Levi, of course, the goat Levi. In the manga, as I mentioned before, the Survey Corps are the ones to defeat Annie. In the anime, it's Eren who almost consumes Annie and gains her powers. Now here's why the manga and the anime for this fight are different in my opinion. Because the anime is Eren's second opportunity, and it's the point where he is able to basically control all the events that he wants. In the anime, he changes the events of this fight and causes it to happen in a way where he will get the power of Annie's Titan Shifter. Now obviously this doesn't happen because Levi gets in the way, but what it shows is that had it not been for Levi, Eren would have eaten Annie and gained the power of the female Titan, which is nothing like what happened in the manga. Another cool thing is that in the anime, while he's fighting Annie, he screams, "I'm going to destroy the whole world." In the manga, he doesn't say that. And as we know, Eren's whole purpose in the Rumbling arc is to destroy the world, quote unquote, in the manga, but he doesn't end up destroying the entire world. In the anime, against Annie, he says he's going to destroy the entire world. So maybe in the anime, he does end up doing that. So as we know in Attack on Titan, memories play a huge role in the story, as if it wasn't for memories, then a lot of the crazy plot twists and events that happened in Attack on Titan wouldn't have happened. Now, speaking of memories, if we take a look at chapter 130 of the Attack on Titan manga, there is a panel that shows the memory shards that Eren has inherited. In this panel, it shows a few very significant and very important memory shards that if you really take a look and analyze, it only adds on to this theory even more. If you look at these memory shards, most of these shards we have seen in the anime or in the manga before. Take a look at the Falco scene, for example. If you look at Mikasa here, if you look at Grisha, Armin, we have seen all of these people in these situations that are shown in these memory shards. In other words, we have seen these memories that Eren has inherited. Now, a few things that we have not seen that are in these memory shards that I'm going to point out here. If you take a look at the scene of this person's eye, it seems to be either Historia or Frida. I would say it's probably Historia. We have not seen this interaction between Eren and Historia. And if you had been reading Attack on Titan while the manga was still publishing, you would know that Eren and Historia having a child was one of the most believed theories going on while the manga was still publishing. But it turned out in the final chapter that Eren and Historia had no interactions whatsoever. Here, it seems as though that isn't the case because we have not seen this conversation between Eren and Historia. Now, it could be the conversation in this same chapter, chapter 130, but assuming that the two were not the same thing, then this is a memory shard that we have not yet seen. The final shard, and the one that is most important here, and the one that's basically going to prove this theory, is this shard of the two birds. If you look in the first chapter of the manga, or to be honest, at any point in the manga really, you never see the scene. You never see these two birds flying. The point of this shard is that these two birds do not show up at any point in the manga. As I mentioned, they show up in the first scene of the anime. How does Eren in the manga see something that wasn't in the manga but that was in the anime? And to make matters worse, look at the literal dialogue on this panel. It's all still ahead of us. What do you think that means? That is just something so interesting to think about, because there is no way that Eren sees this if it doesn't happen in the manga, so he sees it happening in the anime, and as we know, the anime is Eren's second life. This is basically Eren seeing a scene from the anime that wasn't originally in the manga. Bro, this is... Now, there are probably a lot of different other things I can point out that are different from the manga and the anime of Attack on Titan, and probably different things that line up to the fact that the anime will have a different ending, and in that ending, Eren will be successful. But this video is already long as hell, and I can already see freaking Premiere Pro for the next 3 days, because that's all I'm going to be doing is editing this video, and my god, is that going to take a long time. So on that note, I'm going to end the video here. If you want to see a part 2 where I go even more in depth into this theory, make sure you hit the like button. And if you are new here and you enjoy Attack on Titan and other manga content, I would appreciate if you subscribe to the channel if you are new.